Today we're talking about how we can carve out our voice within a particular niche. Have I helped content creators and other people carve out their unique voice? Yes, but it's much harder to do for yourself. So I'm going to share some of the principles that I've helped other people really tap into their voice, their uniqueness, and try to apply to myself, which is often a little harder. I'm going to speak to you as a journeyer, shoulder to shoulder with you, less as an expert. So to find your voice within a niche, two things are actually happening. It's you and your unique identity overlapping with a target market or niche or group of people. So one's internal and one's external. And that overlap is where you want to be. If you go too much one way, too much to identity or the internal, that becomes selfish content and people aren't really that interested in it. And if you go too far the other way, where you're too focused on people, as weird as it sounds, you will kind of lose your own identity and you'll start hating your content. So we want to find a nice overlap where your identity and the people you're trying to help are overlapping, and we'll find you helpful. I think in the last video, I shared a unique identity statement. I'm going to share how I've kind of refined that particular identity statement. To find your unique identity, I'm going to share holy discontent. Holy discontent is when you find that particular thing that kind of makes you angry, but in a good way. Something that fires you up, that causes you to act. So I think a bit of a holy discontent for me is like, there's so many marketing people that are giving you like 9 steps to become a bazillionaire, 9 steps to freedom. I found that anyone can perform to a certain set of steps in the short term, but long term, they might get burnt out quickly. So I'm interested in finding what makes you unique at your baseline and be able to grow over time much more sustainably than if you're just to follow these 10 steps or 4 steps and you're burnt out by the end of it and you can't enjoy it. I've found where the success lies is when you're kind of resting in your identity and working from that place. Let's chill out a little bit. Let's find out who we are, and that's going to set us on a way better trajectory. You also want to ask the people around you who have worked with you or who know you really well. So I asked my friend Joanna, who I've worked with previously, and we've done some freelance gigs together, and I was like, why do you hire me? What kind of unique value do you think I bring? And she got back to me with some things that I wouldn't have thought of myself. So this was really helpful. She said, you create systems and structures that don't suck the life out of creative brains. Marketing for humans, system with the soul, left brain creative. This is the honest angle. We all need systems and structure, but we don't like doing it. You also percolate and think a lot. You go away and then come back with a solution for the rest of us, simmering solutions. So she had all of those things for me that I wouldn't have necessarily thought of myself. And then I also asked Matti, I was like, I've worked with you several years now. Why do you keep me around? And he said, I think you think of yourself as a jack of all trades, but I think you're more like a business engineer, where if you find something that isn't quite working that well, you'll dig into it, figure it out, fix it, and then you're on to the next thing. I was like, oh yeah, I think that's much better than just being a jack of all trades. It's more like, oh, we need to figure this out so that we can do the cool thing. All right, I'll hop in, figure that out so that we can continue on doing cool things. Because that's really what you want to do at the end of the day, is cool things. I then looked to all the content creators and all the marketing people around me for inspiration, not to copy. Now, if I found somebody that I really liked what they were doing, like I love Seth Godin, I love Jim Collin, I like what Colin and Samir are doing. I love all those people, but if I were to copy them directly, I'd be a derivative of somebody else. I wouldn't be my unique self. You can be inspired by other creators, but just don't copy them directly. And I think a lot of people do that. So what you want to do is actually synthesize, like 9 takes to say that, synthesize all the things that you like about all the different channels in your particular niche and come up with something that works for you. Now I'm going to put a little asterisk on that. If you're only looking to your competition, quote unquote, or other creators around you, you will miss the need of your market. So there might be a whole blind spot within your niche that you actually know, but no one's talking about it. So it's not on your map of things that you like that other people are doing. So don't be blind. Jim Collin talks about empirical creativity. And that's when you go to the market for your ideas, not to your competition or not to the other creators in your space. Yeah, you can be influenced of different stylistic things that you like or don't like about other people, but ultimately rely on that empirical creativity principle and only create content that you see that your niche isn't getting fed anywhere else or putting your unique spin on it. So how do you compile all this? I'll give you some pretty easy action steps. I love sticky notes, made a video on it, brain dump. That's definitely one thing. The other thing I liked more recently, just getting a big 11 by 17 sheet, getting a Sharpie and just kind of going through and noting everything. So when I was talking with Joanna, when I was talking with Matti, these were all of the words and phrases that I was just mapping out. And why I like this is digital is already so fixed, whereas analog, you might be able to make some connections that you wouldn't have made otherwise. So I really recommend just getting a big piece of paper or whiteboard or something like that and try and map things that way. And then what I did is I highlighted or asterisk, you can't really see it, all the different words and phrases that I liked. And I tried a second piece of paper and tried to refine that even further. So I think I've landed on something like pause, pause, think, and go. Pausing is that resting in your identity. Thinking is really thinking through the business strategy, and going is actually to execute on the goals or on the things that you want to do. So in general, that's kind of how I've refined down my voice within my niche. And then the last thing is you actually have to start. And this is something that I've been putting off for a while because I'm a bit more of a thinker. So I think it was a bit of a personality thing. I wanted to make sure that I knew what value I was going to be bringing to people. But at the same time, I found that starting was the most important thing. So I started over a year ago putting some content together. I probably have like 6 videos that I haven't put out because I realized halfway through, I was like, oh no, the idea that I had isn't really working out. Now, Matti might say that I should have posted those anyways, but I think it was better that I just learned from filming and editing. No, this isn't ready yet. I'm not super stoked on this. Just start recording yourself, start videotaping, start editing, and don't be afraid to post it. But at the same time, even editing a video that you didn't post, you will learn something in that editing process that you will bring when you finally post a video. You'll find so much about yourself. I had this idea that I was going to have these like long form lectures from when I was a marketing professor or marketing instructor at a university. And I was like, oh, I'm just going to kind of re-record these and put them out in long form content. I did 3 of those, super long to edit, super boring. And I was like, I can't post this. This is a nightmare. But maybe this content will appear elsewhere because the ideas that you have of what you could do once you get into the mix of it might not be the right thing to do. And you can pivot quicker than if you're just to put it off for so long, not start. And then when you get into it, you realize, oh, this isn't going to work. Had I even flicked on the camera, I would have realized. So yeah, those were my carving out your voice within your niche tips. If you like that, like and subscribe. I'm going to do some more. On my way to Norway, I'm going to try and do something from there. I need to try and steal Matti's vlog camera and do something there, but we'll see. All right, I got to go to the airport. Peace.